it's a mechanism through which developed countries can actually support low-income countries. And one of the key issues arising out of the crisis over the last 2 years is how we develop new sources of growth and how we create a more equal world, and how do we meet the requirements of the phrase within the communique from the Pittsburgh summit, that is that we need to create a framework for sustainable and balanced growth. I think part of support for low-income countries is a contribution to creating such a framework for sustained and balanced growth. Well, I suppose you've got to have some fundamentals in place. You've got to have both a government that works and a private sector that works, and a set of African countries or hinterland countries that are receptive to those sorts of developments. But importantly, going into Africa must also mean development for African countries, for their economies, and for opportunities for their people as well. So even the World Cup, we're saying, although it's hosted by South Africa, we treat it as an African World Cup, and I'm sure that there are going to be tens of thousands of Africans who will join us shortly before and after the 11th of June to participate in this wonderful event. Amongst our successes in the first 16 years of democracy was our ability to get fiscal balances right. We started in 1994 with a deficit of over 9%, and at the best we had a surplus of just over 1%. And it shows that developing countries, certainly middle-income countries like South Africa, if they have the political will and if they have the right skills both in government and in the bureaucracy, they can actually achieve that kind of fiscal health. But we also need an enterprising private sector. To some extent we have that in South Africa. To some extent we need to build that as well, as a result of the disadvantages that the majority of our people have experienced. There's a lot of work that we need to do to both support and encourage entrepreneurship. And it's a problem and a challenge that many countries around the world would also face. But as we talk about this rebalancing of the world economy, as we talk about a new framework for balanced and sustainable growth, that's the key issue. Is it going to be a balance between privileged economies, or is it going to be a balance which we develop through dialogue and through constructive engagement over the next 3 or 4 years, which results in the poor countries, in the middle-income countries, getting better economic opportunities, and as a result of which, the globe as a whole benefiting. And that's the challenge within the G20 as well. Well, firstly, it'll show us who's the best soccer team in the world. And of course, we as South Africa want to make a small bid for that particular prize, but we'll see in a few weeks' time whether we actually get there. What the World Cup did for South Africa was to provide a focus and a catalyst for infrastructure development in 8 cities and the areas around those cities in the country. It focused our minds. We've either refurbished or built completely new stadia in 8 cities. We've revamped the transport infrastructure in our cities. We've added to the infrastructure in our airports and increased our capacity, amongst many other things that we've actually done. And for us, it demonstrated that as a country, notwithstanding the limitations that we have formidable potential if we work as a partnership amongst different sectors in our society to actually deliver the goods, as people will see on the 11th of June. So let me use your media to say to the rest of the world, come to South Africa, enjoy our climate even in winter, and more importantly, enjoy the best footballers of the world.